Hello, welcome you guys. Today I'm going to be telling you guys a story that happened to me at the beginning of this month, and I don't know how to explain it, but it was a supernatural event and it did scare me, and I'm going to relate this story to you guys so that you guys are aware of the possible consequences of working in these places, and not just that, but also so you could probably find protection. So at the beginning of this month, I work in healthcare and I take many positions. There's no particular position that I take. Whatever's available. I work agency sometimes. So what that means is I work for this company and they have positions available open, and you will take one for that day and they will give you a pay rate hourly. If you like what they are offering, you go ahead and you take it. So on this particular day, I went to work, and I was doing like patient care, and on one of those we had to clean a room. You know what that means is you make sure everything's sanitized, everything is clean, set, and ready for a new admission. And so there I am cleaning the room. I make sure everything is clean. I make sure everything is like clean sheets, clean everything's stocked for new admission. In that particular room, there was like sliding doors, and so like the big glass sliding doors. So we went ahead and we closed it and we locked it, closed the curtains, make sure everything is clean and that nothing gets in. Okay, so then it's probably like around 7:30, and I go to my break, take a 30-minute break. I come back and I noticed that the door is closed to that room. And I was like, why is the door closed? This is supposed to be open, I go in there and there's somebody already in the room, laying in the bed. So then I'm like, oh, okay, the new patient is here. Let me go ahead and check in with him. So then as I go in and I head to the bed, it's already, the patient in the bed was already a patient from another room. And I was like, okay, well, you can't be here. You have to go back to your room. And the patient goes, no, I'm gonna stay here. This is my room now. And I said, no, it's not. You have to get out of here. And you guys, we had laid a plate of food there for the new patient coming in, and she ate the food. She dirtied the whole room. Like, she used up all the bed. Like, she just touched everything we had just like cleaned. And so then I'm telling her, no, you have to get out of here. This is not your room. This is room 5. Your room is room 25. And she's told me, well, if you don't leave me alone, I'm going to call your dad. And I said, well, lady, good luck, because my dad is dead. He's been dead for years. And she goes, I'm going to call him right now. And I was like, okay, whatever. I was thinking like she's got dementia or something, So then I'm like telling her, no, you need to get out. And she takes a step back. And she's like, I don't know. She just put her hands together and she started saying something. And you guys, the glass door from the back of the room, like, opened. Like, it unlocked and opened, and the curtain opened. Like a gush of wind just like came through. And I was like, I don't scare easily, and I wasn't scared, but I was kind of shook, because I was like, okay, well, what was that? Like, what the fuck was that? Like the curtain, like if something spiritually came in, like, I'm not saying it was my father, but something came in that room. At that point, I was like, I don't want a part of this. I don't want any part of this. So then I left, and I was like, you know what, somebody else needs to come get her, because I ain't get paid enough for this. So I go and I get the administrator, and I guess they go and they get her out. They get the nurse and her CNA involved, and they get her out of the room. After that, nothing else, right? It's just like a normal work day. I get off like at 11. I still have to drive home. I get here like at 12 a.m. And for some reason, you guys, like, I just started having like a bunch of nightmares. Like witchcraft nightmares, like spiritually evil spirit like nightmares, just weird dreams that I never have myself. Like, I never have those type of dreams, so that was just really weird for me. And I think it was like 3 o'clock in the morning when I heard like a pile of books, specifically like a pile of books, fall in my room. And I do have books in my room. I usually keep them like on top of my drawer or something, you know, like if I'm reading, and I just leave them there. And I hear this pile of books fall like at 3 a.m. in the morning at my house. And like when I woke up, the way I felt was like, you know, when you could sometimes feel if somebody gets really nervous or somebody gets really angry, you could feel that sometimes. Like, I could feel like somebody got nervous, like oh shit, I dropped something, you know, and now I made this noise. Like, I don't know, that's just the kind of vibe I got. I don't know how to explain it. It's just, that's what I got. And I tried to go back to sleep and just kind of put it aside, whatever, you know. And at that point I was kind of like, what the fuck is that, you know? Like, none of stuff, I never seen any of that stuff happen before. So that was kind of weird. And up until this point, I hadn't mentioned anything to my mom, to my family, to my friends. Like, no, nothing, you know, because I don't want to be the creep to be like, hey, something happened at work. But so then my mom tells me, hey, I had a dream about your dad. And I was like, well, that's weird, because, you know, this lady supposedly summoned my father from back the dead, you know. And now my mom is saying she's having dreams about my dad. Like, that's weird, right? Like, she was just like, yeah, I need to tell your dad to go home. He needs to stop haunting us. And I was just like, oh shit, like, why would she say that? You know, like, that's weird. And then, so up until then too, I still hadn't even mentioned anything to my kids. So up until this point, I hadn't mentioned anything to my kids. You know, I don't want to scare them. I don't want to be the one like, hey, I think there's something going on. And I think that morning I was still in bed. I had barely woken up when my daughter comes in through the door and she goes, Mom, I think we have a ghost. And I was like, holy crap. Okay, so I'm not making this up, you know, something is in here, and we both can see that something is here. And I didn't confirm what she was saying. I just went along the lines like, oh, why do you think that? And she goes, because my grandma's door was open, and it closed. And when I went in there to go say hi to her, she wasn't there. She's not here. And I already knew my mom left early because I think she had an appointment that day. And my daughter did not know that. She didn't know that my mom had left. So she thought that she was in her room and that the door closed because my mom closed it. So when she went in there, she found out that she wasn't in there and that the door closed mysteriously. Okay, so then we start getting scared because I'm just like, okay, well, something's in here, and we are very well aware that something is here, and we know for a fact that it wasn't here before. So then I start telling my kid's dad, like, hey, was there like, have you ever noticed like ghosts in here where we're living? Like, have you ever noticed anything weird? And he just told me, like, you know what, those places where you work, a lot of people die there. Like, you don't think something followed you from there? And I was like, fuck, man. I hadn't told anybody yet the incident at work at all. I had not brought that up because that's just fucking weird, you know. That's this type of stories you don't want to tell people because they think you're crazy, you know. They think you're gonna make these things up. So then I'm like, fuck, okay. So then something did happen at work, because this is exactly like that same day where that lady like did whatever crap she was doing. Like, it had to have been like, it had to have followed me home, you know. And I didn't know, you know. I for sure didn't want something like living here in my home. But there was like, I mean, I don't know. I'm not an expert, you know. Like, I don't know what to do. Then after like a talk, like after we had I had this talk with my kid's dad. We were just saying like, hey, you know what? Like, don't pay attention to it. You know, they kind of feed off vibration. The more you pay attention to it, the more they stay. Like, if you just kind of ignore it, it'll probably go away. Whatever, blah blah blah. You guys, in the night when I had to go to sleep that night. And this is probably like the scariest dream that I've had, because it just felt so vivid. I was laying in bed, and while I was already kind of dozing, you know when you're still kind of awake but you're falling asleep? I was dreaming that somebody was chopping my feet off from my bed as I was laying here in my bed. And that was the scariest shit ever. Like, I think after that, I kind of woke up and I didn't want to go back to sleep, because I was literally dreaming that I was just falling asleep in my bed and somebody was trying to chop my feet off. Like, that is just fucking scary. Then after that, I just kind of woke up and I started spraying. I started praying, and then the next following day, I went to like a botanica. If you guys know, you guys know. But for those of you that don't know what a botanica is, it's like a Mexican, Hispanic, Latino, or whatever you want to call it, place where there's a like sage, place to things to kind of clean your house spiritually, you know. So I kind of went and I asked the lady like, hey, I think I want to remove like negative energy or just bad energy from my home. Like, how could I do that? And she gave me some sage. So I saged the place, and she gave me like some liquid. I don't know, I think it's called ruda. She said to mop my floors and everything, just to kind of bring positivity and clean energy back in my home. And I don't know, that seemed to do the trick. We haven't noticed anything, thank God. Amen. But yeah, so right after that, the lady also recommended I carry some obsidian crystal. So I carry like a black obsidian crystal with me now to work, because I definitely do not want anything attaching itself to me from work and coming home with me. You know, that is scary. And you know what? The next following day, no joke, another lady died in that room. Like, I guess they transferred her into that room and she died. Coincidence? I don't know, you guys, but I try not to book there anymore, just because I don't know, it's just, I get the heebie-jeebies there. But yeah, that's my story, you guys. And just make sure that wherever you're at, like hospitals aren't haunted. Yes, they are. People die there every day. Those beds, I call those beds 1,000 corpse beds, because they're just waiting for your body to hit the bed, and you're gonna die there. Or maybe not, you're not. Maybe you live and you go on. But you know, people die there every day on those beds, those hospital beds, those clinic beds. And there's spirits there, you know, whether we like it or not. There's spirits there that stay there. There's spirits that live here, everywhere, you know. You just gotta protect yourself, and you gotta have a clean mind and a good spirit, because if not, I mean, I don't know, there's stuff out there for sure. So take care.